I make a motion we accept the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We're a couple minutes ahead of, although it's not a hearing. What I'd like to do, there is several people here in the audience. I'd like to caution everyone and ask everyone to behave as adults and hold the proper decorum. If that is lost, as was last meeting, we will move to an adjournment and end discussion on whatever topic we may be talking about when we lose decorum. So please refrain from any outbursts, any personal attacks on any individuals of this board, and keep, if you are addressed or asked to be addressed to this board, that you keep your comments professionally and to the point. Just a note of caution. With that, seeing how this is not a hearing, I'll recuse myself and turn it over to the Vice Chair.
Okay, we'll move on to the Scooby-Doo's change of location, and Attorney Fallon.
Yes, sir.
You've requested to come and sit in front of us. If you would, come on up and...
All right, thank you. First of all, this is nothing personal, it's just in regard to what we believe the opponents believe are certain irregularities. Starting, if I may, that the application should have been printed in accordance with Chapter 158, 15A, in a local newspaper. If you would like, I will read it to you. Such notice shall be published in the city or town wherein the license is intended to be exercised, or if no newspaper is published in such city or town, in a newspaper published within the Commonwealth, providing general circulation in such city, town, or if there's no newspaper providing general circulation in such city or town. And after publication, the name of the newspaper publishing shall be noted by the local licensing authority on the application for a license. That has not been done. It was done through the Telegram and Gazette. We have the Clinton Daily Item in this town where it should have been done. Now, in regard to other matters, in regard to it, first and foremost, this is owned by, the property is owned by Scooby-Doo's, and the license is directed to that at Main Street to Scooby-Doo's. I don't know if there's a lease to the applicant or not. Well, I don't know, and I have nothing personal even if I did know. So I think, and also, when Mr. Notaro said he would like some time to look at it, I think in regard to it, that it should have been inquired of him as to whether he wanted that in a motion or not, and to be seconded, and to rule by the chair presiding at that particular time, to give this gentleman time. Whether he's for or against, I have no idea. But I think it should have been by way of motion. And in regard to it, I have here, you'll excuse me. If this was voted to give to at 626 Main Street, Clinton, Mass, on Main Street at one of the busiest intersections, one of the busiest intersections in the town. Now, then, if it was allowed, but A, B, C, D, and everything went serene, The applicant states they're going to enter into a Rollo Realty LLC for the premises at 675 Main Street. Now, I don't know if you gentlemen are aware of what Rollo Realty LLC is. I don't. Now, in regard to the other matters, Mrs. Joyce, I'm sorry, is here, and she runs a daycare center within 50 feet of this particular area, and she was not notified in conformance with the chapter. And in regard to it, I think it should permit the last vote and hold another vote to give to everyone, because in regard to it, on the application from the town, it stated that there wasn't any church, hospital, and/or whatever, or school. But this is considered a school, and I can't say you gentlemen, but the Board of Selectmen gave her a license to maintain and run this school. So nothing was done in conformance with that. And on the applicant, if you have it before, on the application, you have it before you, none. And I think Mr. Notaro should have been allowed by the chair to have his, rather restraining, but to be allowed motion-wise to act on that motion. And it would be 2 and 2 and or 3 and 1, I have no idea. But I think in regard to his stating that he wanted more time to look into it, it should have been asked, did you want to put that in the way of a motion? And then act upon it from there. And again, I'm not against, it's nothing personal against anybody, the applicant and the board or anything else, but I think in regard to it, the particular area, we're moving from one locale to another locale on Main Street. And again, it's allowed, it's going to be leased to somebody else. And who somebody else is, I have no idea. Perhaps you gentlemen do know. But perhaps the opposition can also tell you. So at this particular time, I'd like to have Ms. Joyce you were the mower to go. And you've notified the board.
I have notified the board.
All right, and you have the children right there, what, 50 feet away from this?
59. What was it?
Almost less than 60.
Less than 60 feet away.
Less than 60 feet away,
59.94 to be exact.
which is not in conformance with the statute. I don't think the statute was adhered to. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we have to be here. But be that as it may, it's not the first time that things have happened. But I think the irregularities concerning it should be brought into consideration. And there wasn't anyone for it other than the applicants. There were a number of people against it, and we have over 50 signatures of people against the allowance of the transfer. Now, again, as I said, it's owned by Scubby-Doos, not by the applicant. So that's all I have to say. I'm open to questions.
This board has already had the hearing, and we have made a vote. And as I believe the paperwork has already been sent to the ABCC. So the next step that you would have is to obviously appeal to the ABCC.
Well, I think, no, I think that you can have a reconsideration or remit your vote last week or 2 weeks ago. It's nothing sealed in concrete, not at all.
Being the person that abstained from the vote last week, according to Robert's Rules of Orders, an abstention goes with the prevailing vote. As such, I want to make a motion to reconsider.
Okay. Under Roberts, I believe, do we have a copy?
I think it's a vote of in the affirmative.
Someone in the, I believe, under Roberts, it's in the affirmative, and it has to be done the night of the hearing.
Well,
Under Roberts says it has to be done by an affirmative vote in the night.
does this board run under Robert's Rules of Order?
The town of Clinton does,
I
yes,
don't know. I mean,
generally.
Okay. So we cannot make a motion to reconsider.
I mean-
If my abstention in Robert's Rules of Order states that when you abstain, your vote in effect goes to the prevailing side. The prevailing side voted in favor. So why can't I make that motion?
Does it say that it had to be done in that night? Do you
Excuse
have
me?
a copy of that right there?
No, I don't have Robert's Rules of Orders, I just have the paragraph from it.
We don't have the,
Is the solicitor coming in today? He's not going to be here today?
Well, I've got a few more things to say then.
Well, I would just like to clarify one thing.
Sure.
Mrs. Joyce has a license with the state to run a family child care service. She is not a school. The town didn't license her. She is not on file with the town of Clinton as having a license. She is registered with the Office of Children, which I have. And in the town of Clinton, from the Department of Education, which I went online and checked, there are about 17 daycare centers in town. 7 are in close proximity to the Acre Club. 5 of them are in close proximity to PAV, SV Club, and Turner Hall. Clinton Elementary School runs a daycare center, which is in proximity of Talk of the Town, Clinton Tea House, Gale House Grill, Old Timer Restaurant, and the former Rhythms Club. The Falcon, there was a daycare center which is now closed, but it was in close proximity to the Rayview Club, and the Rayview was open. I did check with the state. You are not considered a school.
Excuse me, may I interject?
Sure.
I
I
called
just
the,
wanted to set the record.
I called the ABCC myself and I asked the question, and they told me it was considered a school. Why would the ABCC tell me a
Here it is right here, black and
fabrication?
white. She submitted it in her application process. It's not a school. She's not registered with the Department of Education as a school. She is a family-run daycare provider.
Sir,
All right,
I have to agree, and I'm only saying this, in the eyes of the Commonwealth, it is a school.
And I would think that the ABCC, the state agency, says it's a school. I think we need to err on the side of caution and verify that with the ABCC, get a legal opinion. I don't want to see paper. I want to get a legal opinion from the solicitor who happens not to be here. And I want to get a legal opinion from a lawyer, from a state agency that tells us that this is in fact not a school. I believe it's a school right now, because that's my opinion at this point in time. The ABCC is saying that it is, so I think we should err on the side of caution again. And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would also like to be on the side of Mr. Notaro to second that motion of reconsideration, because I do feel that the people of Clark Street have spoken. Once again, no one was in favor of this change of location. I think it is a sad day when the Board of Selectmen, and I happen to be on this Board of Selectmen, decides not to listen to the people and vote what they think is right for whatever reasons. Everybody has a vote, and I respect everybody's vote, but I think it's sad. And I'll say honestly, it's the one time since I've been on this board for 4 years that I felt that we've neglected the town of Clinton and we'd actually done what is wrong. And I still stand by my position that what we did was wrong. And there's no indication on the proprietor. The fact is, it's 2 different locations, 2 different environments altogether. Yes, it's zoned commercially. It's not the point. There wasn't a bar there when people moved there. Okay? And I understand that. But I get a little bit emotional about this because it's just plain wrong. Okay? And I'm sorry that unfortunately my peers decided to vote in favor for whatever reason. Okay? And there's other things that could be said, but we're not going to say this at this point in time. But anyway, I still think that we need to reconsider this. We need to do what's right for the town of Clinton. We need to stand by that. And that's my position. Thank you for giving me the time, Mr. Chairman.
Well, if you want to make a motion to reconsider, I'll take that.
Okay, I make a motion to reconsider.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion's been made to reconsider the vote from last week's meeting. All those in favor to reconsider?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Noes. So, motion does not carry. So we're at this point, Mr. Fallon, like I said, the appeal now can go through the ABCC, can bring all those points to the ABCC, and what decision...
Excuse me, I don't think it's an appeal.
I don't think it's an appeal.
It's just a regular procedure
Exactly.
that you have to go through
Fine.
the ABC.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, there seems to be some inaccuracies in paperwork here and stuff like that. At a minimum, again, we need to err on the side of caution, have our solicitor review the packet completely before we move forward. I would urge you
We've
both-
already moved.
But I would urge both of you to reconsider the fact that there is some discrepancies here. Give it the benefit, if it's right, what's gonna happen? It's gonna move forward anyway. So why can't we take an extra 2 weeks? I think it's unfair for this board. Every time a liquor license comes in, we rush to put things through. Why can't we just listen to both parties, close the hearing, and think about it for 2 more weeks, and then make a decision? Excuse me, Mr. Pasquale?
I'm asking for a point of order.
Okay. Well, speak up so we can understand.
I'm sorry, Mr.
I didn't hear you.
The board has already voted. We've just voted again for a reconsider. The move didn't, it was denied. The next step is the process through the ABCC.
For their approval and/or disapproval.
Correct, sir. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you, Mr.
Could I make one more statement, please? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, again, if I think, if I may, that it should be submitted to the town solicitor for conformity, that this vote was not in conformity with the statute. And you can't go violating a statute if it's set 30 miles an hour and you're going 60. You violated a town statute, a town bylaw and/or a state bylaw. This has been violated in so...
How was it violated?
How was it violated? Because, if I may, sir, this lady who runs school, her rights were violated. She was not given proper notice. And on the application that you have before you, it has none. It has 0. And it's been checked through the ABCD, through one of your members, Mr. Notaro, if I'm correct, that what Mrs. Joyce has is a school.
That's my understanding. Let me make my statement here, please. I requested a postponement of the vote until our next scheduled meeting last week, but this request was not granted as the hearing had been closed, okay? I do not believe this motion could have been tabled until our next meeting. However, no member should be denied the time needed to make an educated, thoughtful decision, nor should this licensing authority ever make a snap decision that affects so many citizens. In my opinion, this should have been continued until our next scheduled meeting, even though the hearing had been closed. The motion could have been tabled or withdrawn until our next meeting. I don't believe, as a member of a licensing authority, that I should have to make a snap decision right then. I just don't believe it's right. I believe that I should have had time to think about that. I didn't want to abstain.
Before the vote was taken and it was closed. I mean, you could have made that motion and that night.
I said,
It was well after the vote.
no, it was
that
not.
the vote? It was at
It's
the
not.
time
You can
of
look
the
at,
vote.
you can look at the minutes right now. It wasn't after the,
It was the time of the vote.
well,
For the vote.
I'm a new selectman. I guess I didn't know exactly what time to make that motion, so that motion could have been tabled until next week, until the next scheduled meeting, rather. I just don't believe I was afforded the time to think about it. I believe that there was an awful lot of testimony given that night, and I don't believe anybody can make an informed decision after that much testimony. Just a snap of the fingers, make a decision. No, you need time to think about it. At least I did. And I was not afforded that time.
If I may also, a copy of the notice of the meeting should have been sent from the newspaper, not from the selectman's office, but a copy of the article contained in the newspaper. Now, this was done September 3rd, Labor Day weekend. And the PO closes at noontime, if I'm correct with my memory serves me. In regard to, as I say, I have no qualms as to, no personalities involved at all, but again, it said no, 0 in regard to a church, a rest home, and or whatever. And again, if I might just for 1 second hold you up. And as to whether or not all the abutters were notified, I don't think I don't know if any here, they're not notified. But here we are, there's, I think, about 52 people in favor, against this location transfer, and none that I'm aware of in this group that are in favor of it. You're bringing it from an area where there aren't any residences, railroad tracks and whatnot, to a neighborhood where there's a school where kids are getting off school buses and whatnot. We are creating, not we, but the board is creating conceivably a dangerous situation. Now, in regard also to it, that you're giving it to an unknown, to Scubby-Doos or something else. You're not giving it to the applicant. So you're giving it to a person to transfer to property that we don't know if it's leased, owned, or whatever. And then the transfer is to another corporation. So I think it's entirely, it's your vote, not mine.
Actually, I also have a question.
And I think what he said, this gentleman right here, Mr. Notaro, that should have been a motion. That should have been acted upon as that contained, and the question put to him, is this a motion when he asked for time and ruled upon? come out, whether he was in favor or against, I have no idea. But what his statement, that he wanted to look at it further, should have been contained as a motion. And a motion does not have to be motion. It can be a statement and asked, is it a motion? And then the question was never put to him. So I think, again, supposedly you voted, not supposedly, but in front of me, you voted not to. And that's, when was this mailed, if I might, to the ABC?
When was that notified?
It went out today.
Today?
Today?
How nice, huh?
Thank you very much, then.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Attorney Fallon.
Chairman, I have one more question. And this is not a selectman, this is as a father, okay, and as a child. And I don't live on that side of Clark, I live on the other side of Clark Street, but I know it's a busy street. And my kid could potentially go play in that area. There's a lot of traffic as it is already. As a father, I'm gonna urge you guys to at least reconsider the vote, just to make sure that a town solicitor can at least check and make sure and cross the Ts and dot the Is, just to ensure that what we're doing is correct. Just ask him to err on the side of caution, that's all.
The town solicitor's already looked at it. I mean, he's already.
Well, do we know that, or do we just, we don't know that for sure, we're making assumptions right now. I mean, there's some
here at the last meeting.
gray areas here, why can't we just have him double check?
He was here with, he
I'm
was
just
here at the
asking
meeting.
as a father right now, it's up to you guys, I'm just putting it on.
It just, I mean, we voted, Stephen.
Okay?
But it wasn't done again in the Clinton Daily Item, it was done in the Worcester County.
And that's all things that you
Okay.
can bring forward to
But
the
see, what blows my
ABCC.
mind is, in other situations where we voted no against liquor license, which I
You
usually.
voted against me.
Thank you. We just do it, many
Right.
people, okay? And
Pardon?
I've done that. We have reconsidered votes after we voted for stuff, a little bit different, but we reconsidered,
Right.
okay? So I don't understand why we can't do it now. So, once again, I ask you to at least err on the side of caution. It's not gonna lose anything. If it gets reaffirmed, it gets reaffirmed. But at least we're safe and we know what's going on and protect us from liability in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time and patience.
Thank you, Stephen.
It should have been done according to the statutes of Massachusetts, which is, it was not.
I
The
also-
notice, pardon?
I have a question, and I don't know who to direct it to since the solicitor isn't here, but the public hearing notice was published on September 3rd, okay? Don't the Board of Selectmen usually vote on putting public hearing notices in the newspaper? I mean, my name was on that public hearing notice, and I didn't find out about it until September 12th. I find it very disconcerting that there was a public hearing notice published in a newspaper with my name on it that I was not aware of until, what, 9 days after the fact? I have a real problem with that.
Your name wasn't on that?
My name was on it. and
It
I didn't-
was on it, and
I
you
did-
knew
and I
nothing
did-
about it?
No, I did not.
Sir, I think someone ought to look at this very closely.
Standard practice when now
Standard.
hearings are set up, the notice is complete. The board doesn't notice it, the notice is just an automatic part of the procedure that's done. And all the time that I've been here, the selectmen have never taken a vote, a motion to put a notice in the paper.
To put a public hearing notice in?
No, we
Never
never,
been
I
a
mean,
vote for a public hearing notice done.
I think it's just
have you ever done it, Steve?
That doesn't make it right.
No.
The other problem I have is that I didn't find out about this officially until the 12th, okay? I heard rumors of it on the street before that. I think it's pretty bad that someone that's on the licensing authority, on the Board of Selectmen, finds out about transfers that are going on the street through rumors than through proper channels. I mean, I have a real problem with that. As a member of a licensing authority, that really, it bothers me. I find it very disconcerting.
Then again, I guess it would have to be developed procedure for the board to be able to instruct the staff. In the past as well, applications come in, the staff handles the notice, and that the board gets a packet on the Monday prior to the Wednesday hearing. So, and the board did indicate the last meeting that they would like to get more weekly updates and when things come in, and we're going to put that in place. But again, this has been the practice that we've been doing since I've been here. So if the procedures need to change, then we need to discuss that. And I know you knew, Mr. Terrell knew to the board, but again, these are the procedures we've been following for 10 years that I've been.
They may be I understand your point. My point is that I shouldn't be finding about things on the street. I should be finding out about them through proper channels. You know, to have someone say something to you about that and you don't know anything about it, I mean, that's pretty bad. You know, things do have to be revisited.
But I can't control who calls you or who stops you. If people get all the same information at the same time, then I can't control who is going to try to speak to you about an issue outside the meeting.
Joe, this is something you guys can, we can.
That's fine. I just wanted to bring that up.
No, it's
I don't
fine,
think it's
just
right.
further we can go on. Yeah, can we get, Mark, we just, Mr. Elwood, yeah.
Could you put your mics closer to you so we can hear you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys all set?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next on our agenda will be administrative business. Just to point, the 7:20 agenda timeline of South Meadow Pond Wildlife Association, they've asked to come back at our next meeting to speak about their terminated lease. So we'll move on to our administrative business. Michael?
Chairman, just a couple items for the board's review. There's late night closing request for the month of October from Crystal Cafe, Jailhouse Grill, Jack's Bar, and Old Time Restaurant. This is the first month Jack's Bar has put in for renewed late night closings. I'm on that. Wait till election day.
Amos. Okay, Michael, thank you.
Just to follow up, Jack's Bar has put in for a late night request, again, after a couple of months, not having it by vote of this board. I spoke briefly with the police chief today, he indicated that they're doing much better there, and there hasn't been any problems. However, he thought maybe one more month might give them just a little bit more time to evaluate and oversee, and he said he would be in favor of getting it back from the month of November. He said it's up to the board to ask for any problems.
Oh, can I have a motion? Yeah, I need a motion for late night closings,
Sure, so move.
with Jack included, or?
With the recommendation of the police chief.
Okay. I need a motion, I don't know, we're on late night closings, we need a motion to deal with that. Michael said the police chief is in favor of it. Yeah,
And my motion is to go ahead and approve the late night closings with the exception of Jack's Bar due to the fact that the chief of police urges us not to allow them to have late night closings for 1 month as a part of their condition.
so the late night closings will be Crystal, Gale House, and the Old Timers.
Second, in discussion, point of clarification, I spoke to the chief myself also. It's ultimately our decision, how we thought, he felt that perhaps another month would go a little bit better, just to be able to evaluate the whole process. I mean, 2 months is a short period of time, but it's ultimately our decision, but I concur with the chief of police on that.
Yep, I agree. Okay, motion's been made, any other discussion? Motion been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? One abstention.
Okay.
Halftime now.
Next on our administrative business, we have a request, really coming from the town accountant, I believe, am I correct? Regarding two positions, the assistant electrical inspector and the gas inspector, that their payroll be put these two individuals on paid payroll, since it is regular cycle compensation, and this is a recommendation by the state auditor, or the auditor that we have that comes in and looks at our books. I shouldn't say the state auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept these two, the electrical inspector, the gas inspector. I also spoke to the town accountant. She explained to me in more detail why it's a good idea to do it regarding control and things of that nature, and we need to move forward on it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to know if there are any ramifications to doing that?
No, they get paid based on the fees that they bring in, so it's just a matter of the way we process the money and record the money.
Okay,
It
so
just
it doesn't make them eligible for benefits
That's
or any
correct.
other thing?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Just they go,
We would have that stated in the minutes of the motion, that they're not benefit employees, this is just for their salary.
Yeah, we should add that to the motion.
It's reflected in the minutes. Okay. It'll be fine. So motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Next, Michael, the
Next
wetlands.
item is a request from the Conservation Commission asking to transfer $3,619.28 from the Wetlands Fund to cover consulting expenses for the firm of Kohler and Kohler.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
second on the discussion. Can you say, briefly what kind of consulting they're gonna be doing?
What they do is when they get applications in, notice of intents, order conditions, different things that they have to do for their board, this firm will review that and make sure that they're doing what they need to do and that they're following the law.
They actually do the consulting, the conservation engineering, if you will, determining the wetlands and giving the feedback back to the general contractor or landowner. The Concom doesn't actually do that. They have a firm that goes out and does that, so that's what this is for.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next.
Next, just a beer and wine license application for the Chamber of Commerce for one-day beer and wine for November 3rd for the Taste of Wachusett event here at Town Hall.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye.
The final item is the review of the police chief's report for the month of August.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as presented, Mr. Chair.
Second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Old and new business?
Mr. Chairman, just the board has received a petition, taxpayer petition, requesting appeal of a license, of a decision to grant a transfer location to the liquor license held by PCN Corporation Scooby-Doo. Been advised by the ABCC that the law does allow an appeal of this type of decision. However, the request must be done through the ABCC, not through the local board. After the local board has taken their position, the ABCC is the venue that they must go to appeal.
So with those folks directed hopefully tonight, that's their course?
Yeah, I don't know if it was clear, but we could send, if the board is okay, I could send a letter to them indicating that the statute requires that packet that they send to the selectmen should be sent to the ABCC.
Make that a formal motion so we can make sure that they're notified.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the town administrator to send a letter to the Scooby-Doo petition people to proceed through the ABCC. That is the protocol for the week.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain. Next, we have the rifle range, selecting to receive correspondence from William F. Conley Jr. requesting that a request for a proposal be authorized to solicit interest in leasing the town property off South Meadow Road to an organization for the use as a rifle range. Open up for discussion. Mr. Conley, would you like to come forward? Yeah.
Bill Conley, Jr., 46 Winthrop Street. I presented you with a request that you, in consideration of your action at your last meeting to terminate the lease with the South Meadow Pond Wildlife Association, I submitted a request that you direct the town administrator to prepare and authorize a request for proposals based on the authority that was granted your board at the February 16th, 1997 special town meeting, Article 18, which specifically requires that a lease of the property stipulate that said land must continue to be used as a rifle range and must be kept available to the residents of the town of Clinton and the Clinton Police Department. That's the request I was presenting your board with. Because we knew that this issue was going to be on your agenda along with the South Meadow Pond Association, a large number of Clinton residents came here tonight to let you know that this isn't a proposal that's coming from a small group of people or a couple of individuals. The people you see here tonight are all here tonight, or I'd say 95% of them are here tonight, to let you know that that I'm speaking for them and on their behalf in this request. I understand that you may have a reservation about considering this action tonight. I'd like to suggest that you go forward with it. In light of your decision 2 weeks ago to terminate the lease, at the end of the 60-day waiting period, that lease will be terminated and the land will have no direct supervision in the realm of it being a rifle range or not. That lease will be expired and you won't have a new one anywhere near in place. The RFP process is non-committal. You can advertise this, you can solicit proposals, you can review these proposals, you can decide to pursue them, or you can say that they're non-responsive and issue a new RFP. I'm here tonight to strongly encourage you to initiate that process now in the interest of having an organization that's responsible and capable of managing that property in place somewhere near the end of that 60-day period. Thank you.
Any comments or from the board?
In the form of a motion.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we solicit for RFPs for this property to be used as a rifle range, as stated in the 1997 special town meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Under discussion? Just under discussion, Bill, and I mentioned it to you. My only concern, I understand and actually have an appreciation for the dire need for oversight, and with a 60-day termination, that puts us in a bind as far as getting RFPs out and being responded to and putting the appropriate management and oversight in place. Just my concern, if the board moves forward with this, is that we have not allowed the South Meadow Pond Association to come before us to at least explain what their position is and where their direction is. That being said, this is non-committal and it doesn't require us to act upon it from an RFP perspective. So I'll vote in favor of this, but I think it's important that this board stay open-minded to that the South Meadow Pond Association, they should be afforded an opportunity to speak before us. They had to withdraw from tonight. They'll be at our next meeting. I invite, obviously, members of the community that are here tonight to come back that night if someone needs to speak in potential opposition to what they may be saying. Ultimately, our goal is to make that land usable for the town and the people of Clinton in whatever capacity it may be. It may be best used as a rifle range, maybe it's best used for passive recreation. But I just wanted to voice my concern that if we do act on this tonight and that one, it's not committal, that we can go out and not be binding to a particular RFP, and two, that we do it with the recognizing the fact that we need to at least listen to and hear the position of the South Meadow Pond Association so that we are open and fair through the whole process. So with that being said, any other discussion?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I have to concur with the chairman. I think we have to give an opportunity to both sides to mention how they feel. I would also vote in favor only because we're not committed to doing this. We can get information, but we're not committed to move forward one way or the other. And so it helps you, if you decide to go, you're ahead of the game if you do go that route. Because I have some concerns, one way or the other, which way we should be doing it. And if we do one or the other, we need to understand what the recourse and the consequences are going to be to doing certain things, so, and we always got to give every side equal opportunity to express their opinions and concerns, so, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I think being that time will be of the essence, it doesn't hurt for us to at least to get one position of an RFP moving ahead, and obviously afford them the opportunity, if they want to present an RFP as well, that may change their scope, then they'll be invited to do that. So, any other discussion or comment? Being none, all in favor of moving ahead with
RFP.
Posting an RFP in regards to a rifle range at the location off of South Meadow Pond?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next on our agenda, the annual municipal conference. Joyce has requested her attendance. She has attended the last few meetings held in January. I think it's important that she's there to be able to meet with other communities, administrators. Okay, with that being resaid, the annual municipal conference that is held for Mass Municipal Association meeting that's held in January 14th and 15th of '06 in Boston. Our administrative secretary has requested to be allowed to go. She has gone in the past. I think it has been beneficial for her, both professionally and as far as networking with other communities and understanding how they do things. So I would strongly urge that we allow and encourage Joyce to go, and obviously open it up to all members of the board are invited to attend this conference. So with that being said, I pass a motion for Joyce.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we allow Secretary George Corsi to attend the MMA Association conference. It's like you said, it's a good opportunity to network, and I've gone a couple times, and there's a lot of seminars and you can attend that really help you when you're trying to do the job she's trying to do full-time.
This motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Just on the discussion again, I just want to make sure that the board members are aware of the opportunity that they can also attend this conference in Boston.
Just under discussion, Joyce, you do a great job, and thank you for being here every week.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item we will be discussing at our next meeting. Police dispatcher vacancy. The deadline has come and gone. Is the police chief putting together a short list for us?
It's a big list.
The city's been pretty happy so far with the candidates, and he still has some more to interview, and he hoped to have some information for the next meeting.
Okay, why don't we give him some, if there's a big list, why don't we give him some direction as far as what we want to come back?
I spoke to him briefly today, Mr. Chairman, and he said he got a lot of good applicants. He's really having a tough time cutting it down. He says he has a lot of good choices this time around.
We can help him.
We can help him.
I'd like to see more than five applicants come before us, so that gives him a meter to gauge.
He's got 16 good ones so far.
16?
That's what he said.
You can roll up the sleeves.
16.
16, I think. What's the pleasure of the board regarding a short list to come before this board?
I'll make a motion, if you like, to limit the number of applicants that he submits to the Board of Selectmen to 5.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Any discussion?
And I just think
Yeah.
he should know best which 5 to,
Right.
He does.
I agree.
He's working with some
he's
of the
good.
senior staff to accomplish
Yeah.
that. It's going to be tough for you, but he can get it done.
Okay, no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So if you could let the chief know, Mike, that we'd like to see 5. Committee reports?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. I met on last Monday with Buddy McCrell, Mrs. Cloutier, Chris McGowan. We have finalized the location for the Children's Memorial Garden up at Reservoir Pines. We have people that have donated bricks for a walkway. We have several people that have donated money for a bench that will sit. They're going to move some of the trees back. A few of the people that are involved in the project are going to volunteer their time to go up and help landscape, so that it's not going to cost the DPW people time, which they're very busy, you know, with the trees and all that. So mid-October, we'll probably be able to give you a better perspective of where we are with the development of the little section. It's going to be over to the right of the office, close to the parking lot area. It's well lit. And I think it'll be a worthwhile project for all the residents in town.
Nice. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Any other committee reports? Just, I'll make a mention to the Senior Center Building Committee that I'm on, that they have several different meetings with potential locations coming up in the next month. Hopefully, one or two of them become agreeable to a possible site location to help the seniors get what they deserve in a new senior center to be built in the next year or two here in the town of Clinton. So that's ongoing, and hopefully in the next month or so we'll have some ideas.
Do you know when the next meeting is?
When their next meeting?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I would ask at this time, if appropriate, that make a motion that we put Nora McLaughlin on as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Michael added it to our packet tonight. She was one of the runners-up at the last process, but we didn't need an alternate at the time.
I'll accept that as a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second?
A second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, on discussion, Michael, you want to?
Just briefly, she submitted a letter in the spring, and there was only one opening, and she wasn't selected. She did resubmit this round, and we had further resignations and only one applicant, but she did indicate that she was still interested, so we did have an alternate position if the board wanted to fill, and that would give us a full complement of the zoning board if the board was willing to.
Okay. Very good.
The question?
Yeah.
Didn't we make mention at one of our previous meetings that people should at least give us some background or what their qualifications are for?
We did ask that, and at our last meeting when we appointed several members, we didn't have that. So we have not received any background information from any of
I know
the-
she's an attorney, so I think she can help us in the law.
It would have been nice if that was one.
Yeah, I just thought like,
Back in the spring, so,
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask her for additional information if the board desires.
No, even what Steve just mentioned, that she was an attorney, would give me, you know,
Yeah.
a more warm fuzzy feeling, if you will, that we're placing someone on the board that would understand the zoning laws and
Sure.
what have you.
Okay, motion's been made, seconded. Is there any other discussion? Being under discussion, it would be nice to, as Joe mentioned, get, as members of the community do submit letters of interest, that they could at least put a few sentences, if not a full biography, as to their background. We would appreciate it. We appreciate most that they step forward to volunteer for these commissions and boards. But at the same time, if you could assist us with giving your background information, it would be appreciated. That being said, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Notify Nora that she can be the alternate.
Just,
Yeah, go right ahead.
Just quickly, just as an update from the Economic Development Officer, Mr. Lowe, the State Economic Assistance Coordinating Council, I guess yesterday afternoon, I believe, had voted to reinstate the corporate house tax. So
That's
he
good.
had met with those people. They had assurances that they're going to be compliant to do what they need to do. And the state seemed satisfied, so they had taken a vote to allow them to do it. And just based on discussion earlier that we had, to notify the board that we have received application recently from a gentleman who was here at the last meeting for transfer of the liquor license from Mr. Z's, and also we received paperwork to transfer the liquor license from O'Malley Brothers Cafe, or North End Cafe O'Malley Brothers, to the corner of Tea House. So notify the board, if the board wants to proceed with those applications.
I'd put them, well,
Yeah.
it's up to the vice chair, but our next meeting will be, what, October
2 weeks.
12th?
October 12th, I think.
In order to, there needs to be a 10-day posting, so it have to be noticed in the paper this Friday.
Okay.
You have enough time to do that?
Yeah, do you have enough time to get it in?
That would be.
It's- I don't mind.
No, I'd rather err on the side of caution and make sure that legal notice is put in the paper, and we'll vote on it at whatever meeting comes 10 days after that,
Which this would,
if you make it in by Friday. Yeah,
so,
that's fine, if you can make it in by Friday, if not, what's the next meeting after that, I would say.
That's fair.
Mike, can you get it in by Friday?
Yeah.
All right.
So if he gets it, yes, if he don't, then you wait.
My point is just, I want to make sure we meet the 10-day rule, that's
well,
all.
that's the law, so you have, yeah, if he doesn't, they can't be, the hearings can't be held, so. There's no hearings held without the appropriate notice, or you can't have them, so, set them for the October 12th meeting, the beginning of this October 12th meeting. And I can come slightly late.
Yes, you could, yeah.
Yes, oh, I will.
More practice
I
time.
will, absolutely, you guys can handle the minutes.
More practice time.
That's right, although it'll be dark by then. Any other committee reports? Any other information, Michael? Being none, public comment? Anyone? Mr. Champagne?
Everybody's gone, so,
It's quiet down.
you know, the people, I want to listen to what I have to say anyway. My name's Bob Champagne. I can't speak as well as I used to, but I live at 20 Vineyard Ave, Clinton. The whole issue here on the Scooby-Doo license transfer is on quality of life. And it was only a few years ago, I can remember very well, that where they want the license transferred, the D'Angelo lot used to be houses. And I can remember when they were torn down and made way for Burger King, and it was zoned commercial. But Tommy Fallon, Attorney Fallon, came here to really give this board a note. Because as I review and have seen what I have seen, I've never seen so many errors committed on a public hearing from start to finish, right through the reconsideration vote tonight. And he gave you that opportunity to try to rectify that with so many people against this. I know some of the members of the Board of Selectmen have mentioned that they had 35 people that they were against, were for it. I didn't have any trouble. I must have had 40, 45 people that came up to see me, tell me about it. So at the same time, I had them sign the charter too. But this was a very, very important consideration to be made about the quality of life of families in that Clark Street, Main Street area. Even though it's just a few doors up, everybody knows in town that his best customers are the motorcycles. And nothing against them, but they are very noisy, those motorcycles. And those people, their quality of life is definitely going to change. And I really wish you had listened to Tommy Fallon when he did mention those things, because he has all the rebuttals and everything he's going to bring to the ABCC. And I'm out of politics for many years, but I certainly can remember things and what's happened in the past. And I've never seen anything like this at all. But I just wanted to let you know that if there was any way you could have corrected something, I think you should have done it. But now the process will go to the ABCC, and they'll come back with a decision to let you know what the result will be. Thanks for your time.
Mr. Champagne, obviously I'm not involved in those hearings, but to just
point of reconsideration has to occur during a hearing, whatever that hearing may be.
Well,
You can't have under just a normal agenda item, a reconsideration of a public hearing.
No.
So that's incorrect for someone to think that you could reconsider a vote when it's not a public hearing. So there wasn't a public hearing being held, there was a vote that was taken. If they wanted to reconsider that vote, they needed, whether it be a dog hearing or whatever, we need to reconsider during that meeting, not post that meeting. So from a point of order standpoint, in order for it to be correct, it has to be held that night, a reconsideration during that meeting.
You're-
You could open up and have a whole new hearing.
No, Mr. Chairman, you're wrong.
I disagree with-
Reconsideration is considered, according to Robert's rules, on the first meeting following the initial vote.
It's a
And
public hearing.
he had made a motion, he had said abstain, only because he wanted more time to consider. I've been in the same vote before, but the board gave me that courtesy. It was for a liquor license at the Strand Theater. Everybody wanted, but I wasn't quite sure. I just wanted to talk to some more people about it. And I did. They gave me that privilege. At the next meeting, we voted on it, and I voted with majority. But that type of thing should happen, and could have happened that night, only he should have just yelled out, "Mr. Chairman, I make a motion." But nobody listened to him. But he
But
is new. He's no new member of the
Mr.
board.
Champagne, I can't defend what the entire board did when I'm not running a particular meeting, or the actions of any one of the members. I'm just saying.
Right, you're the
from a-
chairman, so I have to address it to you since he's sitting there.
That's correct. But from a hearing perspective, you're correct. He would have had to have done it that night and said, I make a motion for reconsideration that night.
No. You
Yes.
can make that motion tonight.
No, it wasn't a public hearing. You can't be reconsidering a hearing that was closed.
It doesn't matter. A vote is a vote by the board.
And most importantly, there is due process for those residents of Clark Street. And I understand what you're saying as far as a quality of life issue, but that direction as far as their process is really back through the state and through the ABCC. So they do have recourse, and they do have a process that they will be
Right.
able to follow.
That's why I'm saying, but I think you should have listened to Attorney Fallon, because I think he brought up some good points for you that he's going to be bringing to the ABCC, and their decision will be naturally. And it just makes our town fathers don't look as good as they should, because there are so many people against this. And you're supposed to act in the way they are. You're not supposed to act on these issues based on political influence and this type of thing. And we all know what they are. But I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
More than one. Any other public comment? Being none, we will move into executive sessions under Article 3 for our contract negotiations with our fire, police, and DPW. After that, the only thing that may be left for public meeting will be our signing of the warrant.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into Article 3 for fire union negotiations.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Roll call vote is required. Bob?
Aye.
Buzz?
Aye.
Stephen?
Aye.
Joe? Chair votes aye.
The meetings and the minutes of them were being compromised at the time, and it was the way that I could voice an objection to that. I did that, but I guess no, you can't do it as a governor of the committee.
Jeff?
I think it's unfortunate to take one act in correlate that to facilitation, but I will say loudly that I did stand in that hallway, and I was very proud to stand in that hallway, because I felt that that meeting was being pushed on at the last minute, and I've been very critical of this committee in bringing motions at the last minute and calling a Friday night meeting, or calling a last-minute meeting, which would land on a Friday, knowing that many members are out of town. I don't think that's fair, I don't think that's honest, and I don't think that's a good way of doing business at this table. So I was out in that hallway, and I'll stand by it. And I believe the question was directed at me, because I was the one standing out in the hallway.
And Sarah?
No. If members call a special meeting because something's important, and especially if it's the third time that something has come up on an agenda, you honor the committee by meeting with them, even if it's something you disagree with. You come to meetings.
Are there any other questions of the candidates? Seeing none, I will defer to the superintendent for his wonderful explanation of what we're going to do next.
Well, you've got 3 candidates. You need put the name on the page and sign it, and then fold it up, and we'll come around and collect them.
So please take a moment to do that and send them around.
We'll come.
Oh.
Right, that's right.
Before I count the votes, let me say 11 votes will be the winner. If it doesn't, then the ballots are then passed again. There are 3 names that continue in nomination. Unless there is a motion to reopen nominations and change them, that's up to you, the will of them, but you'd have to take, I think it's a 2/3 vote to reconsider that. So let's see what happens. Jeff Gibbs, Jeff Wenzel. Julie Scott, Jeff Wenzel. Mary Copeland, Jeff Wenzel. Ruth Briggs, Jeff Wenzel. Rosemary Warren, Jeff Wenzel. Jeff Wenzel, Jeff Wenzel. Jane James, Jeff Wenzel. John Nunnery, Jeff Wenzel. John Rikiki, Sherry Harianopoulos. Duncan Leith, Jeff Wenzel. Sherry Harianopoulos, Sherry Harianopoulos. Ken Finson, Sherry Harianopoulos. Sarah Jordan, Sarah Jordan. Carol Esperti, Sherry Harianopoulos. David Lowenthal, Sherry Jordan. I'm sorry, Sarah Jordan. Elizabeth Pate, Sherry Harianopoulos. Kathy Singh, Sherry Harianopoulos. Peter McDonald, Sarah Jordan. Kelly Maxwell, Sherry Harianopoulos, and Kim Ferguson, Sherry Harianopoulos. Sherry has 1, 2.
No majority.
I'm sorry? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for Sherry, 3 for Sarah, and I'm going to assume 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for Jeff.
I move to reopen nominations so that I may remove my name.
Is there a second? Second by Peter.
Give us a chance to look for it, please. Okay, Sarah opened it, Peter.
I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Of reopening nominations?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Nominations for vice chair have now been reopened. Recognize anyone, Carol, Ken, and Jeff?
I nominate Sherry Harianopoulos.
Well, right now, the 3 names are still in nomination, where it's like amending a vote.
okay.
So the 3 players are already in. I will recognize Sarah.
I would like to remove my name from the pool of candidates.
I will,
Second.
I don't, I'll take the second, although I don't believe I need one.
You don't
You don't need one, no.
So nominations are open to Sherry and to Jeff at this point.
Move to close nominations.
I withdraw my nomination.
I'm going to recognize Jeff. Are there any other nominations that wish to be placed into consideration before the committee? Seeing none, I'll close nominations. Seeing that we have...
I think you have to do it by vote.
Second.
All right,
I'll second his vote. You recognize?
all those in favor of closing nominations, please specify aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous? Given that there is but one candidate in nomination, I will ask the secretary to record that one ballot be cast for Sherry Karnopoulos. And welcome aboard, Sherry. And in standard fashion of our regular minutes, or regular agendas, even with 2 agenda items, we've gone for an hour and 15 minutes.
Move to adjourn.
I will recognize the motion to adjourn from Rosemary. Is there a second? Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, unanimous. Thank you very much.